Hello, welcome to this short session today. We're going to discuss in test question analysis the straight line depreciation method and a real estate calculation. Very important to understand how to read the question because these test writers use a play on words and to try to get you to select an answer other than the correct answer. So I'm going to expose this and bring it to light to you so you're prepared when you see these on the state exam. Hello, my name is John Enzing. I am a licensed real estate instructor in Louisiana and Florida. My specialty is to do one-on-one private tutoring to you, the student, and prep you for the state exam. If you need some additional help cleaning up some areas, common law, real estate calculations, civil code, whatever it may be, go to privateturingsession.com, privateturingsession.com, and schedule an appointment. Or you can email me at john.enzing@gmail.com. All right, let's go ahead and dive into this. Here we go. Now, we're talking about straight line depreciation. Remember, straight line depreciation goes together, it's hitched, kind of like train cars, with the cost approach. You're familiar with the cost approach as one of the valuations, and you can go to my other tutorial or video and look at the problem I got up for the cost approach. But it is hitched with the cost approach in that you have to depreciate the building to calculate an appraisal value, okay? Remember, the land is not depreciated, only the building. But we're going to specifically talk about a straight line depreciation real estate calculation, okay? And the play on words. So here it goes. A multifamily or residential investment property is appraised at $235,000. The land value is 20% of the total appraised value. Calculate the annual depreciation deduction. You want to round that to the nearest dollar. Remember, when we do a straight line depreciation outside of what an appraiser uses it for to appraise property, here we're talking about an investment property. Remember, you can get tax deductions on investment properties. It's called a tax shelter. And this is one way that you can get this without putting any money into your property. The government gives you this allowance annually. So we're going to learn how to calculate this. Okay, so here we go. I like to break everything down in steps. So step number one, we got to understand in a straight line depreciation real estate calculation, you only depreciate the building, never the land. Okay, land doesn't change. What does straight line depreciation mean? What does depreciation of a building mean? So if I've got a problem that gives me 30, 40 years of economic life in the real estate calculation, I am saying over that time period, each year I've got a value that's going to depreciate the material effect of the building. In other words, the government, and I'll show you in this problem, the government allows you so much money a year to put back into the property to maintain it. Otherwise, if you didn't do that, it would depreciate down at the end of 40 years. You know what that building would look like, probably almost fallen over. Okay, so it's got to be maintained. The IRS knows this. And so they allow you to have tax deductions, okay, on a straight line method, annually depreciating the property so that you, the investor, can use that money to put back in the property. Do you have to use it? No, you don't. But you still get the credit for it, okay? That's called depreciation or straight line depreciation. Remember, only the building, not the land. You don't depreciate the land, especially on the state exam. You want to know that, okay? Can't depreciate the land. Step number two. You've got to separate the building and the land to correctly work this calculation. So here they give you $235,000 for everything. That's building and land. Then they tell you the land's 20% of the total appraised value. Okay, so you have to keep these things oriented and in correct terms so you're able to get the right number. Okay, so $235,000 includes the building and the land as one. Okay, now you also need to have the economic life, which is the years of economics or the year of good economic value that is in the property. Okay, now if the problem, and I'm talking about the real estate calculation, does not give you the economic life, you have to understand that the government offers a standard economic life for residential and for commercial, okay? For residential, it's 27.5 years. Now, I've underlined in the question just now, multifamily residential investment. What are we saying there? We're saying it's a residential. So our economic life we're going to use is 27.5 years. Okay, 27.5 years. All right, remember, we don't have an economic life in the problem. Now, if the economic life in the problem would have stated 30 years, 40 years, you use that. But if it doesn't have one, you've got to have an economic life to be able to calculate the annual depreciation deduction. Okay, so again, doesn't have one in the problem, you're going to use 27.5 years for residential. It tells you it's a residential investment. And obviously for commercial, it's going to be 39 years. So you may have a problem that says a non-residential investment property. That means commercial. Be careful with that. Non-residential means commercial. Okay, so you have to decipher no economic lifespan in the problem. You've got to have the government data available, and you need to know this for the state exam, just in case you don't get it in the problem. Residential 27.5 years and 39 years for commercial. Make sure you decipher what type of property it is here that says multifamily residential investment. Now, for the calculation itself, I've got to separate the building and the land. I've got to pull them apart. Well, if the total investment is $235,000 and my land value is 20% of that, that means my building is worth 80%. So all I'm going to take is 235, which is the total, times 80%, that's the building percent worth, and I get 188,000. So my building is worth 188,000. Okay. Now I'm just wanting to get the annual depreciation deduction. Again, it says to round to the nearest dollar. So I see the building is worth 188,000. Now I can depreciate that at my economic life of 27.5 years. I'm just going to divide it. So what I'm saying is 188,000, value of the building divided by the economic life of 27.5 years. Each year, this building depreciates $6,836.36. Of course, they say round to the nearest dollar, so I'm going to round down. $6,836 per year the government is allowing you to reinvest in the property to maintain it. Well, John, how about if I don't use $6,836? Say it doesn't need it 1 year. That's okay. They're still going to give you the credit on the tax. Okay, that's called the shelter, tax shelter. That's what gives you the tax shelter is the straight line method. Okay. Now, so we're talking about answer C, $6,836. Now, pay attention to me very carefully. We're going to go back and look at the play on words and what is the mistake that students make on the state exam. Okay, so let's go back and look at this. So I'm going to underline a few things. So we know it's a multifamily residential investment. We needed to know that for our straight line economic lifespan. Okay. Now, the property appraised for $235,000. That is total. Then they give you the land value is 20% of the total appraised value. And they tell you to calculate the annual depreciation deduction. Okay. Annual depreciation, what it is every year. Be careful with this because they could have a question that says calculate the total depreciation. So that would be $6,836 per year times whatever the age of the building may be. Okay, so they don't give you that information. They just want to know what the annual depreciation deduction is. Okay, so a couple of key words you have to concentrate on, and I want to show you why. Now, we know that we have to break out the building. Okay, by definition, the principle or rule, whatever you want to use, land is not depreciated, only the building. So we had to break out the building, which is 80% of the total. Remember, land's 20%, so the building's got to be 80%. So we broke out the building. Okay, now here's where a typical mistake is made. When a student reads this, they see a number of 235,000 and say they know that the economic lifespan, again, residential is 27.5 years. They'll go into a straight division of 235,000 divided by 27.5, and that number comes out to $8,545.45. You round down, it's $8,545, and they go to answer B. That is the incorrect answer. There is a step-by-step process you have to know, and you have to read into this question, unpack it, and understand I'm doing a straight line, which means land is included. I got to pull the land out and only depreciate the building. That's where my 80% comes in. If I just take 235 and divide it by my 27.5 years, I'm going to get the wrong answer. Okay, so you need to pay attention on the play on words here and be able to decipher and separate this, unpack this question to where you get the right answer. Okay, the right answer, which is $6,836 per year will this property depreciate. Okay. Hey, listen, I hope you enjoyed this short session. Again, if you need some help, one-on-one tutoring to prep for the exam on anything that you need help in, privateturingsession.com, privateturingsession.com. Look, the real estate industry is fun. You're going to enjoy your career. Best wishes on your exam. If you need help, bye for now.